Morning.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good. So you ready for some video class today, huh? Yeah, thought I'd pause this time here. So, all right. So we've got a guest joining us all the way from Illinois. So thanks, Max, for being here. So, let's talk a little bit before I jump into the materials. So you guys are here. This is about video, right? So we're going to talk about best practices, some scripts and dialogues. Next week, I'm going to give you some tactical how-tos. Like here's the cadence. Here's the equipment you should be using. All of that. So this is a very I think really in-depth class, the content. And so it's really action-packed, right? All of the stuff in momentum. We don't want you just to listen to me being a talking head on Zoom. Like we want you to go take action, right? And implement this stuff. So in video, we've talked about this before, Kim, and we talked about we talked about YouTube, right? And the people that are killing it on YouTube, right? There's people that are selling multi-million-dollar deals using YouTube. And so finding your voice on video, it's not going anywhere. So unfortunately, it's not a fad. So we have to embrace it, right? And get good with the fact that maybe we don't like the sound of our voice, or we think we need to lose 20 pounds or get rid of, change my hair or whatever, right? So we've got to get past that. So with that being said, you guys should have the class materials, and let's go ahead and jump into the PowerPoint. All right. Oops, I mean to go back. There we go. Okay. So we want to give you guys a skill set, right? And then build your confidence so that when you walk out of here, you can say, okay, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go put some dollar productive activities together. So there's two components to this class. One is building out some things that can streamline your business. Like you put a buyer under contract, what's some videos that you can send out to let them know what's coming next? Same thing with a seller, you put house on the market, what's coming next. Okay. So that's some evergreen content that you can build out that now it's a plug and play, right? We just, when someone goes under contract, you hit go and they get a series of videos that explains everything that's happening. Then there's also video for lead gen, right? To get new business, to get people to see your light, right? And be attracted to you and want to do business with you. So there's two components to what we're doing here. So when we talk about dollar productive activities, those are things that we talk about in the AMS, right? Your activities management. Can you streamline some of that stuff using video? KV Core, you're getting some free videos in there inside of BombBomb, which is exciting. So using that, and any, some of your other websites and things may have those platforms there. And again, YouTube, huge, right? Huge option there, or a tool. And did I tell you guys this, that once you get 1,000 subscribers, YouTube actually starts paying you? And there's a gal in our industry, I forget her name, but she made $80,000 from YouTube syndication or YouTube content. $80,000. Like that's somebody's salary, right? Just by providing content. So pretty cool. So the expectations, we want you to feel confident enough to go out and start incorporating video. And you guys, it's going to be a crap show your first time you do it. It just is. And that's okay, right? Because we all have to start somewhere and then get better with it, right? Nate and I did that little video for our streaming class that we're doing on the 25th, and I didn't even watch it. Right? I did not even go back and watch it because I don't want to, right? Because I am going to criticize it and pick it apart. But y'all are going to watch it and you're going to be like, okay, cool, let's go to that class, right? So creating the strategy is creating human connection, right? To generate more leads and have more sales, right? And so some other classes that we have social media classes coming up. I think we're doing phone prospecting after this. We've got other classes that tie back to this content. So plan. So we want to be intentional and proactive. So we want to define our aspirations, develop our GPS, which is our goals, plans, and strategies. We want to implement those vital activities and then be accountable, right? Nobody really likes that word accountable, right? So how about we change it to being aware, just being aware of our behaviors and the activities that we should be doing, okay? Your videos, you want to personalize it. I'm going to give you some tactical tips and tricks. We're going to go over some scripts and dialogues. We're going to have some value-driven content, and that's going to establish you as an expert. And then we're going to go down to the being dollar productive. So we talk about in the activities classes, the 47 vital activities for listings and for buyers. They're in here. We're not going to touch on them because we've already done that. And we have a whole class dedicated to that. And then really, I think the big thing is what's your personal brand, right? What's your brand? Kim, you mentioned, focusing in on Gen X, right? That was a brand. And it was funny because you and I had that conversation, and then I jumped on a webinar. And what did I tell you there was? How many? 55, what did I say? 55 million? I got it written down. Where did I write that down at? 55 million Gen X. So it was funny because we just had that conversation and literally got that information, and you were worried that might be too small of a niche. Well, I think 55 million's, I think it's a pretty good target. I think there's plenty of business there for you. And of course that was nationally, right? You could winnow that down to just Arizona. So you want to identify your audience. What's the content gap? What's missing? And you got a really good point with that. Like nobody talks about our generation, right? We talk about boomers, we talk about the millennials. Now we're talking about the Xers coming in, right? Right? No, Zs. Sorry, got my alphabets wrong. And so find out where's the gap, right? And then go be the gap, go fill the gap, right? And then we want to determine our value and be a good storyteller. I watched a replay of the Matthew McConaughey, The Art of Living that he did recently with Tony Robbins and Dean. I can never say his last name, but that guy is a great storyteller. Like, he's a really good storyteller. So if you haven't listened to his book, Green Lights, I would, because it's a very entertaining book. But if we want to master being a storyteller, I think he's a great example of how to do that and how to be engaging and, have people hanging on every word you're saying, right? So become a good storyteller. There was also that gal that a couple years ago went viral during COVID. She fell during a showing, right? And she is great. You should go look her up. Just go on Facebook and realtor who fell during showing, and you'll see the video. And it was hilarious. She's a great storyteller, right? She was authentic and funny, and it was just a great video, right? And that's stuff you could put out that's the non-sexy part of what we do, right? So, and it's okay to have those moments of just having some fun with what we do, right? So identify your brand, who's my audience, right? And then creating our dollar productive activities. And how do we drive the value? How do we drive that through storytelling? And again, we're going to get into some scripts and some tactical things for you guys. All right, so first one, so video in your brand. So you want to humanize ourselves. So put a personality, create relatability to your audience. There was I was talking to another one of the coaches at Workman, and he was saying that statistically, when we have video, people it fast tracks the connection. So Val, if I watch video about you, right, or a video that you're putting out, I now feel like I know you better. And so I establish trust faster. And so it creates more that those people that are complete strangers come to you. And when they watch your video, now they feel like they know you. And so it's a way to fast track that relationship and that trust building that people want to have with you, right? Because that's the thing, right? Can I trust you to help me buy or sell a home? Okay. So it establishes your credibility as the subject expert. And then it's a firsthand display of your character, your expertise, your knowledge, your personality. Who are you, right? We all have something about us that's charming, right? And then we want to deliver the experience that stands out. I got somebody jumping in. And then it strengthens our relationships to build new ones. Okay. Again, when we have video, people get to know us faster. Okay. And you guys feel like that too on social media. Like, people put stuff out there, and you get to know people on social media. Sometimes things you don't want to know about them, but it does make you feel like you know people differently when you can see stuff on social media. So video just takes that to a whole new level. I have somebody else jumping in. Hold on. Sorry. Okay. I guess people were having challenges getting in today. Okay. So those of you who are jumping in, I will send you the materials when we're done. So leveraging video, so financial proof. So homeowners say they are more likely to list their house with a real estate agent who uses video. That's huge, right? It creates professional marketing. And then it does have a really high return on investment. Thinking about YouTube, if you go and check some of those ladies that I've told you guys about, the examples I've given you, the return is there, right? And I know we could go down a rabbit hole of hiring professional photography and video and all that, but you really don't need to do that. If you have a cell phone, you could sit down and create some content, right? And start doing that now. And there's all that is your time, right? Your time. And if you got a lead from that, it's a pretty good return on investment. And then we want to increase our organic traffic, and then increase our click-through rate. And then marketers who use video grow revenue faster than non-video users. Yet not all of us are using video to market. And I get it. I'm not here to tell you that it's not terrifying, because it is. But you have to all ask yourself, like, how bad do you want it? You know, how bad do you want to walk across the stage at the next R4 and get your trophy? We all have something that is of value. And if we're not doing everything we can to be exposed and to show people who we are and to show up, right? Val just said that to you, go be visible. You joined all those clubs, go be visible. Well, can we do the same thing online? Right? So why aren't we using it? Because it's our comfort zone, right? It's our comfort zone. And so many of us are so judgy about the way we look, the way we sound, I don't know what to say, all of that. Well, if I give you scripts and dialogues, that should help to overcome that. And then we want to unpack that. So lack of motivation. So I have no vision. Lack of direction. I don't have a plan, which after you take this class, you will have a plan. Lack of focus. So we don't have discipline. Another person jumping in. And then lack of support. So we have no community or mentorship. So look around the Zoom, find a face that you trust, and send them a video text, right? So hold each other accountable, get together and share that with each other so we can create that community, create that mentorship. There are people out there, go follow the ladies I've told you guys about, go follow them and see what they're doing and copy them, right? Do what they're doing, because what they're doing is working, right? So building your personal brand. So the must-haves of creating a personal brand. So it needs to be authentic of who you are, right? There's nothing worse than watching something phony. We want it to be a reflection of what you do, but you can also have some fun with it. It doesn't always have to be so serious and sterile. And then it needs to amplify what you believe, and it needs to be a thoughtful display of your ideals. So your personality, your values, your beliefs, right? There's a lot of people out there right now that don't think it's a good time to buy a house because of the interest rates. Right. And if that's the vibe we're communicating out to our people, is that we're going to talk ourselves out of a job. Right. But we know, according to a Harvard study, that 13% of the population moves every year, regardless of interest rates. Right. So they move every year because of life, right? Weddings, divorces, deaths, babies, college, job relocations, right? And so our job is to know that and to show up so that when they're ready to make that move, you're the person that they pick, right? All right, so your personal brand, so your visions, values, passion. What are you passionate about? I've been doing this 25 years. I'm so passionate about real estate, right? I love it. Okay, so then what do you do and say? So this is how you see yourself, right? And then your knowledge and expertise. Then we go over here to the other side, is that we have opinions and reputation, our perceived value, and then how people feel when they interact with you. Right? Did they walk away from that conversation feeling like, wow, I'm really inspired to be a homeowner, or wow, I really trust Debbie to get my house sold, right? And then this is where our personal brand exists, right? Is in the middle of these two bubbles, okay? So if you were to pick a word, and maybe I'll put this in the chat for me, is what's a word you would use to describe yourself? And then I would challenge you to go on your social media and say, hey, I took a class and the instructor said she wanted me to ask how people see me. What's one word that you would say to describe me? Okay. And you will start to see an overarching theme of how people see you, right? And what they perceive of you as. So if you don't know what your brand is right now, go do that exercise. Go do that exercise and ask the people around you. If you've got reviews from people, go look at your reviews. And again, you're going to see a theme that's happening, whether it's caring, compassionate. I had one of my newer coaching clients, I had her do this, and the word rad came up like 4 times from people. I'm like, what a cool word to describe you, rad, like that's a really cool word. How can we slip that into your core values, right? And so it was really cool to see that, because people called her rad. I'm like, nobody uses that word anymore, but it's a great word. So put it in the chat for me. What's a word you would say to describe yourself? All right, so an important element of your personal brand is the storytelling. So the golden rule of video is being a good storyteller. So find someone who's a good storyteller and copy them, right? Copy what they do. And, we think about video, even thinking about our personality styles, right? We talk about, when I teach the DISC class, I talk about being a chameleon, right? Knowing what your identity is versus your role. So my identity, when no one's watching, might be different than my role when I put my name tag on. So could we adopt that same kind of attitude when we go to video? Right? So when you turn the video on, who are you? Right? You're not the same person as you are when the video is not on. Right? So learning to adapt that. So your story is the purpose of your brand is a narrative setting. The most important element is to be a good storyteller. We want to create an emotional connection. Years ago, I read a book by Francis Kafka, and he said that God, I'm drawing a blank here. Give me a second. That we ought to read things that wound us. Oh, I can't remember. Darn it. I can't remember this great quote. But anyway, say it's something about that it wounds us, right? That we read something, it wounds us and it sticks with us. And when I read a good book or watch a good movie and I think about it for days after, then I know that that was a good movie, right? Because it stuck with me. It wounded me, not necessarily in a bad way, but it stuck with me. And so we want, what is that emotional connection you can create with people? And so there's a lot of clickbait happening. If you go on that guy, Tina Tamru talks about him all the time, the guy in Florida that says the Phoenix market is bad, right? And then it's all crap, right? But there's a lot of sensationalized things. And so I feel like we need to be louder than some of those people out there that don't even live here talking about our market, right? So create that emotional connection, okay? So the mind justifies what the heart decides. And the narrative in your story is to lead with emotion, right? Could we be excited? Could we be fired up, right? So all of that, could we put a little fear of like, is the market bad? Is it a bad time to be a homeowner, right? And then come back with the positive. So creating that emotional connection. Okay, so the story. So we want to stand out, okay? Oops. Hold on, what did I do? Resume share. I don't know what I did. Sorry, guys. Having technical issues today. There we go. All right. So we want to stand out. Identify why you're unique. All of you guys bring something valuable to the table that I can't get anywhere else. So let that be seen. Can you guys see my screen okay? We're good? Okay. All right. I'm having technical issues. So what makes you different than others? There's 90,000 agents running around in Arizona. What makes you stand out? Why are you the expert? Okay. What do you want to be known for? Do you want to work a niche? Right? Do you want to work relocation? You want to work first time home buyers? What's that niche that you want to work? And then how do we establish your focus in your area of expertise? So identify our onlookers. Who's our target audience? Who are we going after, right? Who do we want to watch this? I've said this to you guys before, but my nephews are both on YouTube constantly. Right. So if we want to tap into that next generation of home buyers, right? And by the way, I heard this statistic that boomers are actually more relevant today as home buyers than millennials. Why is that? Well, because they're getting, a lot of them are at the retirement age, right? They need to downsize and move into their retirement homes. So is there an opportunity to tap into that? Absolutely. We live in one of the meccas for people to retire to, right? So figuring out, and Tina shared the statistic too, that there's over 270,000 people a year, and the data was a little old, still probably relevant, over 270,000 people a year coming here from Arizona or from California. So boomers retiring, coming to Sun City West, Sun City Grand, right? Could we be doing some targeted marketing towards those people that might be on YouTube watching that or might be looking at video, right? So what's relevant? Again, to define what's the value, what's the gap, right? What does your audience need, and define that. And then the yearning. So what is what's missing? Okay, what is no one else doing that you could do that's unique to you? So that's how we establish the story. So delivering value. So how will I be valuable to my audience? So be powerful, to powerfully impact, to change their behavior or their action. Well, ultimately, we want them to contact us, right? That's ultimately what we want to do. And we're going to increase the education on desired topics. So we want to identify our audience. What's the missing gap? And then how do you show up to be valuable in that? What's the content that you can provide to be there? So considering what content is most valuable, so we want to establish ourselves as the resource hub, right? We always say that, right? Be the source of the source, okay? So relevance, is it something that they need? Is it meaningful and appropriate? Is it irresistible? So it's not only something that they need, they want it, right? They want it, and then it's enticing and appealing, and it's irreplaceable. They can't get it anywhere else but from you, okay? And then it's rare and unparalleled and unique. So if we were to think about moving here from California, what would be something that somebody needs to know? I'm gonna do a stop share. Let's have a little conversation. What's something Max said trusted? Love that, Max. Okay. What's something that you would want to know, Kristen, if you're moving here from California?
I would want to know that I would say 8 months out of the year in Phoenix are beautiful.
Right. And
that we're so close to mountains and so many different activities. So in Arizona, a lot of people don't know that you can go skiing in Flagstaff, that you can go to Prescott, and where it's also mile high, just like Denver. And there's changing of seasons. So I would encourage all of those things as well.
cool. Awesome. You took that a totally different direction than I was thinking. I love it. Great. I was thinking about how hot it gets here and that you wouldn't want a southern facing backyard. That's where my mind went.
Well,
I-
the school system, we've got
Okay.
great, extremely good school systems. The job availability,
Okay.
how fast we're growing and how
Okay.
many, jobs are available, that type of stuff.
I love it. Roberta?
I was going along the lines of what Kristen was commenting on, and go to golf courses. We truly have a lot of beautiful golf courses here that are not just challenging, but also affordable, unlike some of the courses that are over there. And I might be inclined to also market to the fact that it's really only 6 hours away.
Mm-hmm.
So if you still need your beach fix.
Yep.
Easy
Yeah,
to do.
Mexico or San Diego.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah,
Trying
because I
to
mean, you
get-
think
I would
We're
say they
very-
could market with the taxes too. The taxes are so much better here than California.
sure.
We're so centrally located to so many different places that people like to go to.
Yep, Las Vegas, Denver, Santa Fe, all of that stuff. So yeah, Kib, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I'm trying to remember what I would have wanted to know because I've been here 20 years from Southern California. International Airport, I think that's a big one.
Okay.
And somebody already mentioned getting to the beach because I relate to that. There was something else and now I can't remember what it was. It doesn't.
Well, if you think of it, put it in the chat. So
Yeah.
Max, what about you coming from Chicago? What would be things that people would want to know about moving to Chicago?
Well, okay, I'm actually in Champaign, home of the University of Illinois. So, we have a family-friendly community that, we all lifestyles. And also I'm really working with the boomers because I fit that profile. So it's downsizing, it's, getting people into properties that, that are smaller, but they're nice or nicer than the homes that they're selling. So those are the reasons that I don't work with as many relocations, but more, people within the community that want to make a change.
And there's a pretty big population of people that come from Illinois to Arizona. I forget the number, but that is a destination that people come here from there. So you might want to look around and get some contact information for referrals, right? So because there are people that come here, and I can always tell someone from Illinois when they come to Arizona, because it'll be dead summer and it's 120 out and they're in a convertible with the top down. No joke. I'll be like, you from Chicago or from Illinois? They're like, yep, love the sun. So definitely a hub for us to do some referral business. So thanks guys for sharing. So great content. So take some notes from what people are sharing. Let's jump back into the PowerPoint. All right. So section 2, so being intentional and proactive. So success is multidimensional, right? So where we want to be at, we want to be up here in the intentional proactive. This leads to abundance, right? I want it and I'm taking action towards it. Y'all that everybody here, I think, got to see Virl a couple weeks ago, talked about taking massive action, right? Like what is it we can do just to take massive action and double down on the things that we're doing, right? And so that's where we want you guys to be. And I don't know about you, but I love living in a world of abundance. Right? It feels good to live in a world of abundance. So a model for success. So being intentional. We want to define our aspirations. So get clear. Do I know what I want to do? Do I know what I want? If it's December 31st, 2023, what does this year need to look like? Right. And I think even backing that down, Verl talked about that too, of like, what do I just want to do today? Right. Personally, that's really been important to me. Some of you know what's going on in my life. Just getting through today is important, right? But then what am I getting through this week, right? What does this month look like? Breaking it down into those micro bites, because sometimes that whole year looks really big. So can I just winnow down, what am I going to do today, right? So you got to have your goals, plans, and strategies, right? So just doing the right activities, and then a willingness. We got to have motivation, and we got to have the training, right? The ability, and then now we have the expectation. Being proactive, we want to implement that vital activities. Being consistent, that is so critical, you guys. Like you could do it bad, but if you're consistent, you're going to have results. So it could be messy, Kristen, but as long as you're doing it consistently, you're going to have results, right? So don't be afraid to be messy. Okay. We want to be efficient, and then we want to be proficient, and then being accountable, right? So focus on your progress, identify your strengths and weaknesses, and then your expectations turn into reality. And I love the bottom here: aspirations plus direction plus action plus focus equals achievement. So let's see, 4 stages of an aspiration. So where we want you guys to be at is number 3. We want you to be passionate, right? We don't want you to be an obsession, because that's when we get divorced and our children hate us. So we want you to be in number 3. We want you to be willing to suffer for it, get uncomfortable. One of the affirmations we have in Momentum is that there is no growth without discomfort, right? There is no growth without discomfort. So getting uncomfortable and knowing it's going to be a crap show. That's okay, because next time it's going to be better, right? And look around the Zoom, pick somebody that you trust, send them a video text and ask them for some feedback, right? You just have to do it. So the basic operational premises: generate leads, right? New business, repeat referral business, low hanging fruit off of YouTube. And then having our marketing plan, and then converting those people into leads. And of course, putting them into our CRM. Hopefully that is KV Core for you, and starting to take advantage of that. Alex is doing, is there a class, or he had a class yesterday, the 24th, I believe he's doing in person. And then next week, don't forget, we have that the 3-hour CE class on Thursday on deed fraud. So that's going to be a good one. It's going to be on Zoom. So definitely tune into that. It's a hot topic right now. All right. So vital activities. we're not going to jump into these. Like I said, we've already talked about them. There's a recording of the class. It'll come up again. So the vital activities, number 1 and 2 are the same, right? On buyer and seller. There's a reason for that, because we shouldn't wonder when we get out of bed who needs our services today, right? So we want to find people, and then we got to be able to convert them, right? And be able, once we find them, right, are we saying the right stuff to be able to gain the trust to make them into a lead? Okay, so within your guys' materials, and those of you who jumped in, I'll get that to you here in a minute, when we get done. So taking the vital activities and thinking about, can I turn this into into a video, right? So what happened? I already kind of touched on this. What happens next? We have open escrow. What happens next? What's the home inspection? How about a video on, what do you need to qualify? What does that look like? What are the different mortgages that are out there that are options? So the sky's the limit, you guys, on content that you could create when it comes to real estate, right? Here in Phoenix, and this might apply in your market too, Max, is like, a 2-story versus a single level. Right? What's the benefit of that? The difference there. Okay. You might have basements, Max, in your area. We don't have a lot of basements here just because we just don't. But what's the benefit of that? People buy houses today. This generation is waiting to have children. So they buy houses for their pets. And I fall into that category. When I bought this house, I got 2 geriatric dogs and I got 3 cats. And so their quality of life was absolutely taken into the equation, but before buying a home. Okay. So think about that. Like, could you do a video that says, what makes a pet friendly home? Right. So could you do that? I think that could be very evergreen, right? It could be content that sticks around for a while. So what other thoughts? That's what I have for you guys today. I know I kind of got through that a little fast. It's only 9:30. So let's have a little discussion of what are we going to do with video? Who's going to go do something today? Kim's making a funny face. So Juan and Steve coming at you right now. Roberta, you've done some video in the past. You're not new to this.
Yes.
So You've
What
done
was
some
the
in the past.
question?
Well, just what kind of content do you feel like you could put out? Are you going to go? Are you committed
Well,
to doing something?
I'm actually working on content now. I've always wanted to build my YouTube channel 15 years running. So I've made a concentrated effort to work on all those scripts and prepare my little studio and start doing that. So some of the things would be like you suggested, how do you attract California buyers? What's it like to live in Phoenix? Monsoon safety tips.
Ooh, that's a good one.
The pet friendly stuff. Where are the best dog parks, or not even dog parks? What are the best places to take your dog in Phoenix? Because there's lots of restaurants and other attractions that, like the botanical garden and stuff like that. So just things that I can provide extra content and information that's in some cases about real estate, what's the buying process like, but also other information about the metropolitan area that we live in. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm working on. Am I doing it right now today? No. I'm in my little planning process, but it will be done because it's on my business plan as a primary project to accomplish this year.
Okay, cool. I love it. Kim?
Well, I've been wanting to add video to my 10-day lead conversion plans. Maybe 2 or 3. One on the first day for sure. And then I don't know where the other ones go, but I keep hearing this, you and other people with, video is a great way to attract buyers and sellers. So might as well put it into the 10-day plans, the drip campaigns.
Well,
so it goes out automatically.
Okay. When we talked about that too, was it Tina or who? I can't remember, Liz Ricci, one of them said that there's 200 people on average moving to Phoenix every day, which that's crazy. Those are crazy numbers, right? How about somebody talking about the time when he's chip planting? Right? How about, does Arizona actually have water? That's a big one. That actually, I was listening to one of my favorite radio personalities and it came up on his news channel. Like he mentioned it. Arizona doesn't have any water. Do we know that we know that's not true? But somebody moving here, do they? Right? How about explaining like how we actually get our water? Right? I had a whole learning lesson about that. And I didn't know we shared the water with, so California has the primary rights to it, right? But we share with New Mexico, Nevada, and Mexico, right? I didn't know that. I learned that recently, right? So good content to push out there. Steve, I want to highlight Steve for a second. So if you're not friends with Steve on Facebook, I would go friend him and check out his open house videos because Steve does an amazing job with his open house videos. And Steve, anytime video comes up, I always tell people to go check out your stuff. So just so you know, but you do such a great job because you're just so endearing and you're just so comfortable with yourself and with the video. And, I think that's part of what makes your open houses so successful is just how you show up and you're just so authentic. And I love it. So it's really great job on that. And Steve's a great example of somebody to go copy, right? To copy his vibe. So you got anything you want to say to that, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, thank you. That's flattering that you say that. It's, I was just thinking of one opportunity that I had. I showed like a custom home over off like 16th Street north of Carefree Highway, and it was really odd. And I was thinking about like the master bath was so weird. And I was thinking about just videoing that and then sharing that and saying, hey, has anyone ever seen anything this bizarre before? And it doesn't always have to be, I don't know. I'm just thinking it doesn't always have to be super informative on real estate, but just kind of getting yourself out there,
Yeah, I love that.
So.
The lady that fell during her showing, that was not about her being an expert, but it was freaking hilarious, right? And if you've ever fallen during a showing, it's totally embarrassing. I've done it, so it sucks. so that wasn't her being an expert on something. It was just the realities of this job, right? So yeah, good job on your open house stuff. So definitely go check out Steve. So any other thoughts or comments? Juan, you're in witness protection, but I'm glad you're here. I haven't seen you in a while, buddy. So I hope everything's going good. So
Thank
I
you,
think,
sir.
and this is why I'm here, is getting video out and making it relevant, and just so that I can get traction. I've got a vendor that puts my houses, house videos on my YouTube site, but I need to be more proactive to drive people back to it.
Yeah, and one thing on YouTube, you guys, is don't let YouTube do its own algorithms. So like we think we want to push it out to all of our outlets, right? Put it on Facebook, blast it out to our databases, and actually that's counterproductive. I learned that recently about YouTube, is you want YouTube to do its thing, and it has its own way of getting the content out to people and to viewers. And if you're not getting the traction, sometimes you need to change your thumbnail, and sometimes you need to change the title, right? So the title needs to be, I hate to say it, but the title needs to be clickbait. It needs to be something that's sensational so that it will get people's attention. You have about a 10-second, maybe less, viewing time to get their attention. So millennials and Gen Zs are real short. I think they're even last like 7 or 8 seconds. So that first, you got to have the hook, right? So the first, it starts with the title, your thumbnail, and then the content with it the first. I love that, Kim. Yeah, interviews with vendors for sure. Juan, your wife does feng shui. That could be a great video too. It's like, why is feng shui important in a home, right? What is feng shui?
Absolutely. And that's, it's funny because we were thinking about videos to do this weekend, and then all of a sudden I saw this link pop up on my phone after we had the conversation this morning. So I joined the class. But just a quick question, Sarah. I'd be interested in, one of the things that I'm concerned is the logistics and the legalities, things that we need to make sure that we cover to not get ourselves in trouble when I'm making videos and blasting them out there publicly. So is there anything like that that I can read up on and study offline?
Yeah, I would be mindful of fair housing, right? Be mindful of fair housing stuff, that we're following that, staying away from words like, easy walk, right? Because what if someone can't walk? So I'd maybe dust up on your fair housing stuff, just making sure we're not blockbusting or steering or, any of those things that might be perceived even as innocent. I took a class recently on understanding biases, and she used the example of a tattoo and how many people have a bias about tattoos, like, that they wouldn't. And there was actually a realtor in the audience that said that he had a buyer lead and they did a consultation and his tattoos were covered up. And the next time he saw them, he wasn't, and they ghosted him. And so he really felt like they were judging against his tattoos. And so understanding those biases that exist, and sometimes and even as innocent as saying something to a young couple, you don't want to buy a house in the city, you want to buy a house in the suburbs because you're going to want to have a family. Well, that's fair. You're breaking fair housing, right? You're being innocent. You think you're looking out for them and thinking about their future, but you don't know what their familial status is. So that'd be one I'd say. And just, obviously stay away from politics and religion. And, we are being governed a little bit differently. So we can't be Karens, right? We can't go out and be Karens because the NAR is watching us, and now they're policing that stuff. There's been some realtors that have lost their license in the recent years because they got caught on video being inappropriate. So even when you're not working, you're still, being scrutinized. But that's also a good question for Shannon to maybe talk about, so you're going to want to make sure if you're doing video on YouTube that you've got all the appropriate stuff in there, that it's clear and prominent that you're a realtor, right? So making sure that your name, RE/MAX professionals, all that stuff is in there, so that people know that you are a realtor. So, but it's a good question to ask Shannon. I'll see if she'll do a broker blast on it and see if she's got any thoughts on it.
Okay, thank you.
But I think the main thing is just making sure we're not having any blockbusting steering. And this gal, when she showed some examples, and actually it was in our code of conduct, you guys, in NAR's stuff, and it was just not that long ago. It was in the 1930s. It said that a realtor will not show homes to people of color in certain neighborhoods. That was in our code of our is that code of conduct, right? What is it that NAR has? I think, am I saying the right word? Isn't that shocking? That was only 1934. So obviously it's been changed. But she showed a heat map of a community, I think was it Kansas City? I think it was Kansas City, and there was an ad that had been placed. It was a picture of a building, and it had an X on all of the buildings, or the apartments that had African American people living in it. And it said, something about this neighborhood's going down, right? And sadly, when she showed the heat map, even still today, that there's still redlining that's happening. And so it's super sucky. I haven't done it yet, but she talked about something called Fairhaven. Have anybody of you participated in that yet? So it's a study, or it's supposed to be like a fair housing simulation type thing. So I'd look into it and check it out, right? Because I think we all have biases. What you got there, Max? The ready to rock, get ready to rock. What is that? Oh, yeah. I saw about that. So you're muted. I did read something about that.
So if you go to C2EX.realtor, it's a NAR program, and you do a case study. I'm into it, but I haven't finished it. But it really shows you that what you say is not maybe what you should say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like I said, we're a lot of times it's very innocent, right? It's very innocent, or we have good intentions, but yeah, just not to go on a fair housing thing, but it's definitely really interesting, some of the stuff that's still going on out there, and some things that we just need to be better at, right? Be better at. So, but one, I'll ask Shannon to do a broker blast on that today. So
Sure, and would you mind sharing that address one more time that the gentleman just mentioned?
Max, can you share that again?
Here that is. It's C2EX.realtor. I'll put it in the chat.
It's a new
Thank you.
program that they just came. Is it a designation, or it's just a certification?
It's the certification.
Certification, yeah. So good stuff, definitely. Cool. All right, you guys. So Thursday we've got, what is today? Oh, today is Tuesday. What's Thursday? What do we have on the calendar for Thursday? I don't remember what's on the calendar. Oh, Armless. We have Armless on the calendar for Thursday. She's going to be walking you guys through some tips and tricks on listings, and then a demo of something called Rapid Stats. That's a new product that's out. Next week, we're going to finish up the second half of this class. And then, like I said, we've got that deed class that I think all of you guys should be on. It's a free CE class, and it's really relevant topic right now, what's going on with deed fraud. So we have that. And then we have Alex doing in-person KV Core, again, same format, the in-person, advanced, beginner, intermediate. So that's on the 24th at Arrowhead North. So that's all I got for you guys today. Have a fantastic day. Thanks, Max, for joining us and putting that in the chat. I appreciate it. So if you guys need anything, please reach out. Hopefully come back next week, because we're going to wrap up the second half of the content. Okay.
Thank you, Sarah.
You're very welcome. You guys have a great day. Okay.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.